By the year 2500, dirt had become more valuable than gold. It was the rarest hard currency on Earth. Gold and diamonds in this apocalypse had become worthless junk. Just 3.2 grams of dirt could buy a single tomato tree. Its value rivaled that of a Bugatti Veyron. Global warming had melted the polar ice caps completely. Sea levels surged uncontrollably. Human civilization sank beneath the waves. The global population was nearly wiped out. The few survivors clung to life on the poisoned seas. Some cramped into makeshift atolls built from debris. Others sailed the oceans, making the seas their home. As a lone wanderer of this apocalypse, the seafarer had drifted across the oceans for over 30 years. He survived by scavenging relics from the deep to trade for supplies. He had no idea that a catastrophic event was about to change everything. A mere 3.2 grams of dirt would make him rich overnight. But just as the seafarer prepared to set sail, the village chief blocked his path. He wanted to strike a deal. Centuries of inbreeding had worsened the genetic defects among the remaining people. If left unchecked, it would lead to their extinction, so they had their eyes on the strong and capable seafarer.
Pregnant. You're going your way with all the supplies you need.
You don't have anything. You're dying.
Seeing him decisively refuse and try to leave, two burly men lunged and restrained him. Then one of them witnessed something terrifying.
Gills.
Years of life at sea had given the seafarer the ability to breathe underwater, but it also marked him as a freak in the eyes of the villagers. Despite his skill, he could not overcome their sheer numbers. To the ignorant villagers, someone like him didn't deserve to survive. On top of that, he kept his distance from women, and his ship held tools that looked like torture devices. They immediately labeled him a spy sent by pirates. They decided he would be executed the next day. At that moment, Helen stepped forward. She believed that the seafarer, carrying such pure dirt and objects no one had ever seen, must have come from the land, and he could be their only hope for the survival of their people. 6 years ago, Helen had saved a little girl named Nora. The child had been found floating in a basket with a handful of the same dirt beside her, and on her back was a mysterious tattoo. No one could decipher it, but Helen was convinced it was the key to the new world. No matter how she pleaded, the villagers refused to listen. To them, the land was long gone, a myth. At dawn the next day, the seafarer was locked in an iron cage. The villagers planned to throw him into the sewage pit, letting him die in filth. But at that crucial moment, lookouts spotted something terrifying. The most ruthless pirate gang in the area, the Smokers, had arrived. They came armed and relentless. In an instant, the floating island was surrounded. Under their leader's command, bullets rained down like hail. The villagers' once strong defenses were like paper against heavy fire. The villagers fought back immediately, but their best weapons, aside from catapults, were only magnetic water guns. It didn't take long before the pirates breached the defenses and stormed the island. Their target was the map on Nora's back, to find the remaining land. Helen had wanted to escape with Nora using an airship, but the inventor made a mistake and took off alone. Helen, cornered, focused on the seafarer, about to be submerged in sewage.
If I let you out of here, you're taking us with you.
Sure.
To survive, he didn't hesitate. He agreed to her plan. He let Helen and the child open the floodgate. He dove into the water, swimming like a fish, back to his sailboat. Then, with a leap, he retook control of the ship. With a fluid display of skill, he rescued the mother and child from the floating island. But the sharp-eyed pirate leader saw everything. He wouldn't allow any prey to escape. Seeing the pirates in hot pursuit, the seafarer hurled a harpoon at their ship. Using the pull of his sailboat, he altered the trajectory of the enemy's heavy machine gun fire. The gunner, still intoxicated by the thrill of firepower, ended up steering the bow toward his own leader's ship.
Adios, cousins.
Not only did they fail to capture the seafarer, but the pirate leader became a one-eyed man. Though the three escaped, their ship was heavily damaged. The seafarer had no choice but to patch the holes with rags. To vent his anger and conserve scarce supplies, he considered tossing Nora into the sea. 30 years at sea had hardened him. Seeing that pleading was useless, Helen hid Nora in the cabin and slowly began to undress. The seafarer froze. He could have taken advantage, but like Helen, he was a man of integrity. In the end, he chose to shelter the mother and child. Meanwhile, on a giant derelict cruise ship, hundreds of laborers melted to steel by hand, pouring it into molds to make cold, hard bullets. This was the lair of pirate leader Joel. Their fuel only lasted 2 months, so they desperately needed to find land. To capture Nora, Joel deployed helicopters to hunt the three relentlessly. Amidst the chaos, the seafarer dove into the cabin for weapons, but Helen mistook him for a coward. She grabbed a harpoon, aiming for the plane. The seafarer tried to stop her, but it was too late. Though the gunner was killed, the harpoon's rope tied the plane to the sailboat. Both sides abandoned their kite-like battle. A pilot shot the rope to break free, allowing everyone to escape. After the fight, the seafarer was furious. He grabbed a military knife to warn Helen not to touch his belongings. The two disobedient women were forced to have their long hair cut. In this world, a woman's identity was a dangerous symbol. Soon, an unexpected visitor appeared on the ship. He pulled out a crumpled newspaper, offering it as a trade. Half an hour with Helen. She strongly refused, but in this water world, paper was as precious as dirt. It might contain crucial survival information. The seafarer agreed to the trade. Though Helen was reluctant, she had no choice but to comply. At the critical moment, the seafarer suddenly intervened. The lecherous man, enraged, drew a dagger, ready to fight. But fate was already sealed. The scoundrel paid with his life. This marked the seafarer's awakening. He had once believed only in survival of the fittest, cold enough to abandon the mother and child. Now, he actively protected them. This act severed his icy past and restored his humanity. From then on, he treated them with care. To solve their hunger, he risked his life battling a giant shark in the sea, allowing them to finally feast. Afterward, Helen handed her drawings to the seafarer. In her heart, he had become family. Over time, their bond grew stronger, but the good times didn't last. At a supply station, the seafarer sought resin to repair his ship. He noticed a strange black substance on the water. Grabbing some, he smelled petroleum. At the same time, Helen saw through binoculars that the trading station had been overtaken by pirates. Everyone had been killed and turned into puppets to lure them. The seafarer used an underwater scope and saw the pirates lying in wait. He quickly raised the sails and fled. Joel fired at them, but the trio escaped again. Repeated attacks drove the seafarer to rage. He knew Helen was hiding something, otherwise the pirates wouldn't chase them so relentlessly. Helen finally revealed the truth. The seafarer was furious. He knew the so-called land was just a myth. He had never been there, but Helen refused to believe it. If he hadn't, where did the pure dirt and those intricate objects come from? The seafarer stopped explaining and decided to show her. After securing Nora, he had Helen enter a homemade submarine. They dived deep. At first, Helen didn't understand, but the deeper they went, the more astonishing the sight. The silhouettes of countless skyscrapers appeared. Now they were ruins. Broken glass facades, coral and seaweed over steel skeletons, like sunken tombstones, marking the end of human civilization. The dirt the seafarer had collected came from this underwater graveyard. Helen finally accepted that the land didn't exist. The legend was merely human consolation. When they returned to the surface, the sailboat was reduced to a charred skeleton. Nora was gone. The pirates had taken her. With no transport or supplies, survival seemed impossible. Yet Helen fully trusted the seafarer. Exhausted, they awoke to see an airship overhead. The smoke from the burning sailboat had alerted the inventor. With his help, they reached the last refuge of their people. Based on the seafarer's newspaper, the inventor realized the symbols matched Nora's tattoo. It wasn't text, it was geographic coordinates. Now that they had the child back, all they had to do was compare the markings, and they might finally discover a whole new world. Everyone thought the group would immediately plan a rescue mission, but instead, every single one of them only cared about saving themselves. To avoid being hunted down, they even drove the mariner away. With nowhere else to go, the mariner set off alone. He returned to his abandoned boat, hoping to scavenge a few supplies. But instead, he stumbled across Nora's drawings. Comparing them with the rare books he had collected, he suddenly realized something shocking. The places in the drawings were actually pieces of human civilization before the ocean swallowed the world. In that moment, it finally hit him. What if the legendary dryland was real all along? The mariner wasted no more time. Using the thick fog as cover, he quietly snuck aboard the massive ship, alone. At that moment, Joel was dressed to impress, handing out stolen supplies to the lower-class survivors. He was trying to buy loyalty with a few cheap favors. But even then, the oppressed people below deck had long since grown tired of his lies and fake promises. Joel had already prepared for that. He immediately brought Nora out and claimed she was the key to finding dryland. Fueled by Joel's manipulative speech, the crowd grabbed the giant anchors and began powering the massive ship forward. What they didn't know was that Joel had no idea how to read the map. And right then, the mariner appeared. To force Joel to hand over the child, he pulled out a flare and threatened to throw it straight into the fuel tank. That fuel tank was the heart of the entire ship. If it ignited, everyone on board would die. But Joel still believed he was bluffing. Then the next second,
Oh, thank God.
a massive explosion ripped through the ship. Engulfed in flames and thick black smoke, the giant vessel was destroyed almost instantly. In the chaos, Joel grabbed Nora and rushed toward a helicopter to escape. But the mariner wasn't about to let him go. He launched a metal hook onto the landing gear, and under the pull of the extra weight, the helicopter crashed hard onto the deck. Just then, Helen and the others arrived in their airship. The mariner grabbed Nora and quickly climbed toward safety using the rope ladder, but Joel clung to them like a parasite, chasing after them relentlessly. He suddenly grabbed Nora by the ankle, refusing to let go. As both sides struggled, Helen picked up a wrench and smashed it straight into him. They thought they were finally safe, but Joel still wouldn't quit. With his blind eye shut tight, he fired a shot that snapped the airship's cable. Nora instantly fell from above. Seeing the pirates closing in from all sides, the mariner didn't hesitate for even a second. He tied a rope around his ankle and dove off the airship. With everyone working together, the two of them finally made it back on board safely. But when the inventor reached out to pull Nora up, his eyes suddenly landed on her tattoo. And in that instant, he realized something new. The land had sunk and the poles had reversed, so the coordinates had to be inverted to match reality. Using the sun's position, the inventor set the airship's course. Days passed, fresh water ran out. Everyone doubted the new world was real. Then, a seagull landed on the airship. The seafarer followed its gaze, and through the mist, a new land appeared. It was Mount Everest, the highest peak. Even with seas risen thousands of feet, its summit remained above water, the last sanctuary of humanity. Green hills, clean water, birdsong, abundant fresh water, and animals roaming freely. A stark contrast to the endless ocean. Inside a simple thatched hut, two skeletons lay quietly in bed. On the table were symbols identical to Nora's tattoo. These were her parents. Though childhood memories were blurred, a familial recognition surged in her heart. Nora opened a dusty music box. A crisp, gentle melody filled the air. It was her parents' final gift, the purest hope of this new world. But the seafarer did not stay. He bade farewell to Helen and Nora, setting sail alone once more. Perhaps the endless sea was the true freedom he sought.